Hello there, you're watching Leadership TV. Of course, this is the program Inside Nigeria where we dissect the trending stories on some select national newspapers. My name is Cynthia. Good to be here this morning. Of course, we begin with Leadership newspaper on the front page. Of course, the major headline here says reactions at Tinubu orders review of revenue retention by NNPCL others. Of course, that's on our page 4. You do well to check out that story. 1,500 escaped inmates in 15 years, over 7,200 still at large. That's on our page 4. Of course, talking about the crisis in the Nigerian Correctional Service and changes that need to be made moving forward. We must keep animals in ranches to end farmer herder clashes, says CDS. That's on page 6. Federal government stops the establishment of new varsities. Others. PDP demands 100% loyalty, warns against anti-party activities. JAMB to screen over 500 underage candidates September. That's on page 8. And of course, we see a pictorial of the Ibom Air passenger who's caught in a fracas confronted and of course, being released from Kirikiri Correctional Center. All right, down below that pictorial, we'll see federal government tightens control over 2025 capital budget spending. Above the masthead, peace sustained in Niger Delta by armed forces helped us meet revenue targets, says the FIRS. Also, I'm still in pain, freed Ibom Air passenger Emansin said. K1's ban reduced, Emansin released after KMO's intervention. Freed lady offered 500k job. All right, that's a positive story that came out of something so negative. Tinubu names Odion Rabiu as FCCPC executive commissioners. Of course, you do well to take a look at our editorial, which is our stand. We talk about ungoverned spaces and matters arising, looking, of course, ways we can promote stability and social order. You may want to check that out on our page 3. Moving forward now to our back page. Of course, this Friday we have Been Blunt with Moazu Eleza. It looks at the negotiations at gunpoint. An excerpt from that write-up says, to rationalize negotiating with terrorists, we not only unthinkable, it's not only unthinkable, but an affront to justice itself, looking at an end to terrorism and banditry in Nigeria. Down below, we get to see our cartoon, Ghana Must Go. It says, Nigeria crashes out of Chan with humiliating defeat to Sudan. That's in the news. And of course, the response down below says, so you learned nothing from the Falcons? Well, in the 8th African National Championships, Nigeria performed woefully and was sent home in an embarrassing 4-0 trash by Sudan. All right, that's all we're checking out from Leadership newspaper. Let's move away now from Leadership and also check out, let's check out the copy of the Guardian newspaper and see what the Guardian is saying. The major headline on the Guardian says, FG to overhaul public finance as bills for more varsities risk rejection. That's on page 6. Reps probe alleged diversion of 1.06 trillion naira COVID-19 recovery funds. Ukachukwu stakeholders flay Soludo over visit to Tinubu. Also, INEC to deploy 2,062 officials, 574 beavers machines for the by-elections in Ibadan. ADC slows down 2027 strategy talks over alleged moles and EFCC raids. All right, that's on page 6. Still on the Guardian, NDA is barred from issuing contract letters without minister's authorization. Over 70% of Lagos residents are tenants, spend about 60% of monthly income on rent. Above the masthead, we see FG withdraws criminal charges against Kwam 1 Emerson. FEC others ministers to forward list of projects for scrutiny. US approves $346 million arms sale to Nigeria. That's on the page 2. Moving away now from the Guardian newspaper, let's check out Daily Sun. The major headline on Daily Sun says Ondo, Edo, Bauchi, Ebonyi, Taraba top Lassa fever chat. NCDC acts straight to strengthen community engagement. FG OK's 7-year ban on new federal tertiary institutions. Approves 9 new private varsities. Okay, NCAA to meet. Ibom Air over passenger dispute. Mixed reactions trail Kwam1 aviation ambassador appointment. Still on Daily Sun, we are rebranding Deacon to boost indigenous military sanity, says the CDS. Also, why Tinubu will continue to strengthen NDLEA, says the NSA. Moving away from Daily Sun, let's check out This Day newspaper. The major headline on This Day newspaper says Tinubu targets 7% growth by 2027. Others reviews of deductions by NNPCL others. Moves to tackle poverty, declares 7-year moratorium on new universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Court frees unruly Ibom Air passenger as police withdraws charges. Above the masthead, we see the U.S. approves sale of 534 billion naira munitions, bombs, rockets to Nigeria, says Nigeria's strategic partner deal will, or rather, Nigeria's strategic partner deal will improve nation's fight against terrorists. Finally, on This Day newspaper, we see FG $980 million private capital mobilized, 350 CNG conversion centers built in 18 months. All right, moving on now to Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper here says, Kwam1 comfort Bob, lawyers, aviation experts blast federal government. There's been a lot of mixed reviews with other fracas that have trailed the aviation sector in the last 2 weeks. Reforms. FG targets 7% economic growth rate by 2027. Tinubu departs Abuja on 2-nation visits. UK to deport foreign criminals immediately after sentencing. FG declares 7-year moratorium, or rather moratorium, on universities, polytechnics, colleges of education. Invasion. Obasanjo library to sue EFCC demands 3.5 billion naira compensation. Drug war. While federal government continues to strengthen NDLEA, NSA, AGF. And finally, on the Vanguard newspaper here, it says FEC orders ministers to forward a list of projects to BPP for scrutiny. That's on page 31 of Vanguard newspaper. Moving on now to the Nigerian Tribune. The major headline on the front page says LP, SDP, APC, PDP to battle INEC over Saturday's by-elections. Commission parties in war of words in Edo. Parties sign peace accord in Oyo and Adamawa. And also, I am not afraid of being deployed from, or rather redeployed from Edo, says the REC. All right, invasion. Obasanjo library gives EFCC 7-day ultimatum, demands 3.5 billion naira compensation. Also in the Nigerian Tribune, Ibom Air passenger confronts Emansin, regains freedom, may get ambassadorial role. Ogun gives property owners 2 more weeks to present documents. My constituents living in fear, Benue Deputy Speaker raises alarm. Amnesty International, over 1,800 killed, hundreds missing in Southeast in 2 years. And on health, over 80% of blindness in Nigerian children preventable, experts say. Finally, on the Nigerian Tribune, let's check out FEC places 7-year embargo on new tertiary institutions. Tinubu eyes 7% economic growth by 2027, directs review of FIRS, customs, NNPC deduction. Let's check out Blueprint newspaper and get to see what it's saying. The major headline on the front page says FEC approves 493 million naira for Kano Katsina Road, Kata Bridge. Still in the news, 27 states FCT assessed 78.6 billion naira UBEC matching fund mid-2025, says Alausa. 2027, PDP not wooing Jonathan Obi, says Ologunagba. And also, FG halts establishment of new tertiary institutions for 7 years, says the 199 universities got less than 100 JAMB applicants, 34 had 0 last year. Also looking at business news, airport roles, Comfort Edmonton, Kwam1 off the hook. And on sports, Afro Basket, the Tigers outclass Madagascar 77-59 in Group B opener. Moving on from Blueprint, let's check out finally the Punch newspaper. The major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper says 2027 presidency. PDP unveils zoning panel, dispels Jonathan Obi talks. PDP eyes new aspirants, APC mocks opposition, predicts defeat for 2027 candidates. Obasanjo Library accuses EFCC of targeting ex-president, demands 3.5 billion naira damages. Tinubu orders FIRS Customs to review revenue deductions. 2025 budget. Ministries in dilemma as Accountant General suspends fund requests. Still on the Punch newspaper, by elections. INEC deploys 7,726 beavers machines in Edo, Anambra, 10 states. Below the masthead, we see fuel distribution controversy. Dangote restores marketers amid mounting pressure. Pilots split over Kwam1's aviation ambassadorship. And finally, we see Mahmouda terror group leader captured in Niger and moved to Abuja. On that note, that's all we can take on the Inside Nigeria today. If you have any comments on any of the major stories we have read out today, please do well to like, subscribe, and also leave a comment on Leadership TV. Thanks for watching. I am Cynthia Onado.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.